The Apple MacBook Air M1 has been among the best laptops since its release. Apple surprised users when the new MacBook Air came completely redesigned. Features like the new M2 CPU and a significantly slimmer, lighter design make it feel like a completely different laptop. So is the new M2 MacBook Air worth an upgrade? Let's find out. Design. The design of the two different MacBook Air versions is the most obvious distinction between them.
Expect the unexpected.
The M2 MacBook Air takes design influences from the most recent 14 and 16-inch MacBook Pro models, while the M1 model is stylistically similar to previous MacBook Air iterations. The M2 MacBook Air is 0.19 inches, 4.8 millimeters, slimmer than the previous generation at its thickest point. Even though they are the same width, the M2 model is a little longer than the M1 version. Compared to the original Air, the Air M2 is 20% more compact, yet it boasts a larger 13.6-inch screen.
How interesting.
We'll go into detail about the M2 MacBook Airs and show you how it compares to the previous version to see whether it deserves an upgrade, so stay tuned. The 2.7-pound all-aluminum chassis offers a nice blend of toughness and lightweight. The M2 MacBook Air also has streamlined rounded edges and noticeable lip, making it comfortable to grip and open with one hand. While the M2 MacBook Air does not drastically improve in portability, it is more likely to fit into tight bag compartments easily when compared to the M1 MacBook Air. The new style of the M2 MacBook Air may be more eye-catching and appealing, but upgrading for the sake of increased portability may not be worth it. Performance. The Apple Silicon chip in the newer MacBook Air is one of the main upgrades over the older models. Despite the fact that both chips include an 8-core CPU with 4 performance cores and 4 efficiency cores, the M2's cores provide moderate performance and efficiency benefits and up to 2 more GPU cores.
Impressive.
According to Apple, the M2 chip is up to 1.4 times quicker than the M1 variant, while maintaining up to 18 hours of battery life. The MacBook Air M2 achieved a single-core CPU score of 1,932 on the performance benchmarking tool Geekbench 5.4 and a multi-core score of 8,919. The MacBook Air M1 achieved a single-core score of 1,736 and a multi-core score of 7,575, which means it's 11% faster on a single core, while the multi-core CPU is 17% faster. On paper, the M2 chip boasts a significant upgrade over the M1 chip. However, the difference won't be evident for most users in their day-to-day activities. It is more suited for professional workflows, so if you tilt towards that side, it may definitely be worth upgrading. If you're looking for other options, subscribe to this and skim through our reviews to find which device would be best suited to you. Display. The M2 MacBook Air and the previous generation both have high-resolution Retina displays with P3 wide color and True Tone, which means the screen adjusts the color and intensity of display to make it look more natural and richly saturated.
Wow, that is impressive.
But the M2 model's Liquid Retina display employs a latest version which allows for thinner bezels, a larger display, and curved edges around the top corners of the lid. It is a sleeker and more contemporary look. The M2 MacBook Air's display is 0.3 inches wider across the diagonal, allowing for somewhat more room for on-screen information, and it can get 25% brighter than the M1 model, making it better for use outside or in bright surroundings. However, most users won't have any problems being satisfied by the M1 MacBook Air's LCD Retina display. Honestly, there aren't many notable variations between the display's technical specs that could sway potential buyers to upgrade to the newer model. Ports. Both the M1 and M2 MacBook Air contain 2 Thunderbolt 3 connectors that can transfer data at USB 4 and USB 3.1 Gen 2 rates. However, only one external display can be used with either device. The M2 MacBook Air also has a combo headphone mic jack, which Apple claims is compatible with high-impedance headphones. Also, the M2 model is distinct from the rest, since it has a MagSafe 3 magnetic charging port, which means that one of the two USB-C ports can be used for something other than charging. That's reason enough for some people to get a brand new MacBook Air. Speaking of charging, we'll talk more about the battery life and charging rate of the M2 MacBook Air soon, so stay tuned. Camera and speakers. Unlike the M1 model's 720p camera, the M2 MacBook Air has a 1080p FaceTime HD camera, and Apple claims that it has double the resolution and low light capabilities of its predecessor.
That's what I'm talking about, Dad. Okay.
Pairing this with the 4-speaker sound system built in between the keyboard and the screen enhances stereo separation and speech quality, which gives vastly superior video chatting experience. On the other hand, the M1 MacBook Air maintains its stereo speakers. The good news is, it'll probably be adequate for the vast majority of people. What do you think about the M1 MacBook Air speakers? Share your thoughts with us in the comments section. Battery life and charging. Although both devices feature 18-hour battery life, the M2 MacBook Air's 52.6 watt-hour lithium polymer battery is larger, so it seems to pack a little more punch than the M1 MacBook Air, although the difference is negligible.
Yeah, really.
When it comes to charging, you're getting a single-port 30W USB-C power adapter included with the M1 and also the base M2 MacBook Air models. However, the M2 models with the 10-core GPU option comes with a 35W dual USB-C port compact power adapter. In addition, the M2 MacBook Air is capable of fast charging with a 67W USB-C power adapter. Conclusion: should you upgrade to the M2 MacBook Air? The answer isn't simple. Although the M2 MacBook Air is $200 more expensive at $1,199, it is worth its price tag. New features give it a more contemporary look and enhance overall user experience. However, many users may not necessarily require the improvements on the M2 MacBook Air. We would recommend users to check whether they truly require the improved features before upgrading.
Oh, check.
Now, Apple's next smartphone flagship is in the rumors, and it's coming packed. Apple is changing a lot of things, even down to changing the name from Pro Max to Ultra. We'll talk more about it in our next video, so make sure you watch that too. Thanks for watching.